want to circle back to the assessments and maybe even ask you some of the questions that you did in the research to uncover this. But I also wanted to highlight what you said about compensation, because I think people always ask us here at Sandler about sales compensation, and it can be a big difference. You know,
Yep.
if you
Sure.
weight
Yep.
compensation too much on new business, then we get too much new business, but we don't renew people. If we make it all on renewals, then we get people that just farm these existing clients. They keep their book of business for 20 years, but they never go find new business. And I think in cultures, I've seen that really break down too, where if you're compensating sales on, profitability or the price that they can get, but you're compensating customer success or the delivery teams on a different metric, it can start creating, that non-collaborative culture, the combative culture, where people are fighting different values inside the same organization. Because you're saying over here, we value, customer appreciation, but over here we value profitability. And all of a sudden those two things come in conflict sometimes, right?
You're on such a good topic. I've done my fair share of executive education looking at competing metrics inside your organization. That is so common. It really is so common. Hey, we want to have team collaboration, and we design an incentive plan that really rewards kind of a lone wolf mentality. It's like, no, I'm fighting for myself. It's every person for themselves in this organization. But yet we're saying, hey, we really want team collaboration. That happens so much. And you look at your metrics, take a deep dive and look at those metrics. I would love to work with some of your folks and just looking at those metrics. I worked with one global organization a few years ago, and it was really all about that. So I started asking the senior leaders, give me all of your measures. Now, we know this, right? People will do what you measure and reward. We got that, right? As leaders, we know that. Sometimes we have so many metrics that we create confusion in our organization.
I'm glad you brought that up too, because I thought that about values. I think 6 might even be pushing it, is you can't really have 6 priorities at the same time. You end up with 1 or 2 that are really important, and then a bunch of secondary ones sometimes. But I'd be open to hearing other discussions on that. Some places have 12 values listed on the wall or something, and I'm like, I don't even know how you remember the whole list, let alone prioritize them all the same way. But I love that point you made about tying the metrics and what you're measuring to those, because I think also not even competing wise, it's just what you're measuring and what you're rewarding has nothing to do with the values at all. So we say we value this, but we're not measuring anything in line with those. We're measuring completely different profitability metrics that other, MBA programs said we should measure, not what really matters in our organizations. A lot.
In my graduate course, I spent a lot of time with these future leaders, right? And we talk a lot about incentivizing and how to design compensation plans, how to reward behaviors. And we look at input and output kinds of metrics. Now, we know this in sales, right? So we look at an input, a number of calls made. Okay, good. That's a good starting point. And then we look at the output. So what are the results? What's your closing ratio? What are the, those kinds of things. So input and output. We also look at objective performance metrics and subjective performance metrics. And as you know, you got to have a little bit of it all. Input, output, subjective and objective measures. But at the same time, you could have too many. So that's it. What is that sweet spot? How do you combine those kinds of measures in a way that's consistent with your overall culture?